Now, having looked at the causes of the Great Depression, let's look at the effects. What effects did this Great Depression had on the countries? So, number one, we are saying there was massive closure of banks and industries in USA as well as in Europe. So the Great Depression, as we have said, it affected Europe as well as USA, though it started in USA. So people withdrew their money and kept at home. So banks did not have enough money to pay to everybody. So there was that loss of the savings. So other people, they lost their savings. And millions of people, secondly, we are saying another effect is that millions of people, they became jobless and living standards, they went down. So people now, those people who had maybe food at the table this time around, they only depended on charity for survival. So you can just imagine the situation whereby one day you were living a good life and all of a sudden things change and you depend on charity for survival. So millions of people, they became jobless and their lives went down. And another effect of the Great Depression was that loans to Germany were stopped, and USA even recalled those short-term loans. So this, again, recalling of loans from European countries, it brought untold miseries to European countries, especially Germany. We talked about this to say Germany faced the untold miseries mainly because of the reparations. But look at it, when Germany, the plans were there, the Dawes plan, the Young plan were put in place, but all of a sudden, before the Young plan was finished, then America was hit by this Great Depression. And immediately, instead of America giving those loans to Germany, it instead recalled the loans to say, we are in trouble here, we need our money. So it disturbed the whole system, the whole economic recovery in Europe, and there was the untold miseries, especially in Germany. And another effect was that the government in Britain, Germany, Japan, they changed their leaders and their policies. So due to that Great Depression, things were not okay in Europe, and people decided to change their leadership and to change their policies. So it gave way to the rise of dictators in Europe, such as Adolf Hitler in Germany, Benito Mussolini in Italy, and Joseph Stalin in Russia. These were dictators that came up during that time of struggle now, when European countries were struggling. So people, they were pointing out at leadership, say, hey, you are the leader who is causing these things. So you can see it when things don't go well, it is really a great danger to the leaders, whether they have an impact on that or not. Still more people point on leaders to say, you are the ones who are making these things. But here we are learning of the Great Depression. It started in USA, but it affected European countries. The result was that European countries, they changed their leaders, they changed their policies so that maybe they could do well or they could recover from their economic problems. Now, let's look at the role of the New Deal. The role of the New Deal in solving economic problems in the USA. So there was the New Deal. So what was it? We're going to look at at 8. Now, during the run-up to the presidential elections, there was this guy, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He was the presidential candidate. So during his campaign, so he was there to tell the people. So he was saying that I pledge myself to the New Deal. See? So he's the man behind the New Deal. So he said, I pledge myself to the New Deal for American people. So this Roosevelt, his economic policy, that is the New Deal, during his administration, he approached this New Deal in order to solve the Great Depression. So he adopted this New Deal with the aim of solving the Great Depression. So it was an approach to solve the Great Depression. So that is the New Deal. So it was started or advocated by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who became the president of USA. So in his inaugural speech, when he won the elections, again, he also emphasized on the same. And he said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. So he further said that this nation asks for action, action, and action. Our great task is to put people to work. So that was just showing his determination to say, what I talked about of the New Deal, we have to do it. As Americans, we have to solve this problem of the Great Depression. So it was the New Deal economic policy by Franklin Delano Roosevelt to solve the Great Depression. So the New Deal involved assistance in agricultural and industrial sectors. Remember, they were the ones that drove the economy of USA. So when we talked of the causes of the Great Depression, basically they hit the agricultural sector and industrial sector. As a result, the living standard or the economy of USA went down. So when the New Deal came in, it mainly involved assisting these industries and agricultural sector. So number one, the government temporarily took over and restructured the banking system and reformed the stock exchange. So we see there, because many banks were closed, they did not have the money to pay back to the people. So the government took over the control of the bank. I hope it was the beginning now of establishing there a strong central bank to control all other banks. And also the stock exchange was also taken over by the government, and it was reformed. And also under the Farmers Relief Act of 1933, the government, it encouraged farmers to reduce output in order to improve the prices. Remember, we said that one of the causes was the overproduction. So under Farmers Relief Act, the government then encouraged farmers to not produce more, so that things or prices should be regulated at the marketplace. And again, the government created the Civil Conservation Corps. Civil Conservation Corps. So this one, it was to provide a job for young men in conservation projects for small wage, clothing, shelter, and food. So it was called the Civil Conservation Corps, providing jobs for young men. So maybe just as it is happening now, we have the internships, the government internship, or maybe we can take it in a wider sense to say we have the MASAF projects, things like those. They are mainly targeting maybe those poor people in the villages to have at least a small wage which can cater for their clothing, maybe shelter or food somehow. So that is Civil Conservation Corps. The Americans, they did that in order to solve the New Deal. So it was under to solve the Great Depression under the New Deal. Also, the New Deal also had the National Industrial Recovery Act 1933. So there was what was called the Public Works Administration. So this one, it made available cash. There was cash for building dams, schools, bridges, and many other public things. And also there was the National Recovery Administration. So this one, it was there to improve the labor conditions. So under the National Recovery Administration, it created millions of jobs. So the government put in place big projects to be done. So yes, the government was undergoing economic trouble. So it was that time it wanted to create jobs. So to do that, it had to start bigger projects, dams, schools, bridges, so that people get employment. And also the government encouraged artists and performing artists. So the artists, the musicians, they were encouraged to say, you have to produce more music. People need music. People need the dramas. They need to see those things, the poems and the like. So keep on doing that. So they were encouraged. Maybe they were supported. They were given some funds, small funds, maybe to produce their talents in form of arts, performing arts, and the arts itself. So it was done through the Federal Emergency Relief Administration. So that's where I see that the music industry now in USA booming, or the movies now going on again, the American things. So they were able to do that. And also there was the Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA. So this one, it encouraged conservation measures like the control of soil erosion. So the Tennessee Valley Authority, it was there for the conservation measures, especially for the control of erosion. So we see here the New Deal as one of the best things, or the best approach that America took in order to solve the problem of the Great Depression. So to this far, we have looked at the condition in America, which was divided also into two. Number one, we have said that in America, there was the roaring 20s, whereby there was the economic boom. Americans were doing good. But that economic boom ended with the Great Depression, where they were greatly affected. We have looked at the causes of that economic depression. And again, for the economic boom, we have also looked at the factors that led to that economic boom. But then finally, we have also looked or concluded this economic condition in USA by looking at how the Americans approached the problem of the Great Depression. So we have looked at the New Deal by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who became the president of USA, and he put in place different projects in order to recover the American economy. So the next time we'll be also proceeding by looking at the other topic, and this one is the communist revolution in Russia. So this will be the next topic that we'll be looking at, the communist revolution in Russia. So this is another interesting topic, very interesting topic. So be there as we continue with this. Thank you so much.
Simutaya nthawi yanu kufunafuna maphunziro muzakhala wotumidwa moyo wanu wonse. Ngati simuphunzira anthu azingokutumani, ajala kalime, ajala kuchwe manyazi, ajala katende yanti, ndipo anthu ophunzira wandi wotumanso kwambiri. Ndiye ngati simuphunzira, skulu akuyikirani apa mukhala otumidwa.